I mentioned a few times this morning that the Sarpy County Republican Party is not happy with the Republicans on the Papillion La Vista Community Schools School Board. I can't imagine that means that they're too thrilled with the Democrats on there, especially since this proclamation includes a phrase like gender identity cult-like Democrat agenda. But it's the Republicans on the Papillion School Board who get censured at the end of this statement from the Sarpy County Republican Party. We welcome the chairman of the Sarpy County Central Committee. Michael Tiedeman joins us here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Michael, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Scott, for having me on.
The Republicans on the Papillion La Vista School Board are Skip Bailey, Marcus Madler, Brian Lodes, and Valerie Fisher. What did they do that got your organization, the Sarpy County GOP, so upset?
Well, I wouldn't say so much as it's what they did. It's more of what they didn't do. For many years, we've had parents come into the school board meetings expressing concerns with the content in the libraries, and there has been very little action taken to actually address their concerns. In turn, these parents get frustrated. They reach out to the county party, and they brought their concerns to the county party, and our central committee decided that it was time for them to take a stand. And with a vote of 94-2, they voted to censure those individuals.
What concerns are we talking about here?
So we have some pornographic material that's in the books in our school libraries. One of them being All Boys Aren't Blue. On March 27th, 2023, we had a parent that actually read an excerpt from that book, to which the school board members actually said that they didn't want to sit there and listen to that pornographic material. So we kind of see that they're already aware that there is a problem. The lack of action is definitely a problem. Also on December 11th, 2023, a student from the school district read Eleanor Park, an excerpt from it at the school board meeting, and that actually ended up getting national attention from the Twitter account Libs of TikTok, which that's pretty embarrassing for our students, our teachers, and our community as a whole as well.
So someone goes up there and they start to read from this book, and the members of the school board said, please, we don't need to hear material like this during a school board meeting. It's my understanding that this was streamed on YouTube, and YouTube took it down because it violated the terms of that streaming platform. Yet that book was available in Papillion school libraries?
That is correct. And you know, it's obviously graphic material, and it's accessible to students aged 12 to 18 years old in our schools.
Is it still available?
Yes. It went through a review. They fell back on the policy that they have existing, and they determined that it was not needed to be removed from the libraries.
So the Republicans, did they run for school board in Papillion and say, if you elect us, then we will go in there and we will take advantage of this platform to do something about material such as this? Is that anything that they talked about?
The four that got censured, they did not run a campaign on that. We did have one candidate that did run a campaign and ended up she's no longer on the school board. I will say that as a general rule, in our democratic republic form of government, we elect our officials to form policy, and if that policy does not address the citizens' concerns, then our officials should be looking at changing that policy.
Does it matter at all that there have been, specifically this book that you're talking about, are there others? How many others are we talking about?
There are actually lots of concerning material in our school libraries. I would definitely recommend any parents that are concerned. There's a website called educatingparents.org, and it enables you to kind of search through the libraries and see what books are in your school's library where your students are being exposed to it.
This particular book, All Boys Aren't Blue, has been challenged by school boards in at least 10 states that have removed the book from their libraries when it comes to public schools. There have been others who've looked at the same material and said, like Papillion did, no, we think it's okay, and we encourage parents to oversee what it is that their kids are reading, and they're always welcome to come talk to us at the school if they have any questions about it. Puts the onus on parents to raise their kids and decide what is something that they should be looking at, which is sometimes a bit of a Republican agenda item, is it not, for parents to be the ones making the decision, not something like the public school board?
Absolutely. Parents have every right to raise their children, and I think our government needs to respect that right. We shouldn't be having an institution raising our children without the parents' consent.
So when these Republicans say, well, parents should be the ones to make the decision as to what their kids read, and some parents might not find this to be objectionable in the least, and we want to make it available for them too, then where's the problem?
I would say the problem is that the parents are not at school with the children to be able to see what they're being exposed to. Also, as our guest speaker at our meeting the night we had the censure, she was talking about the numbers of copies in some of these schools, and sometimes some of this objectionable material has up to 108 copies of it in a particular school, which 108 copies, it's almost like it's being taught as a curriculum item with that many copies. So I think that the parental involvement, parents almost aren't always sure what their children are being exposed to when they're not in the presence of the children.
Any of us who had a National Geographic magazine in the school library when we were in grade school or middle school knew exactly where it was and which page to go to because some older kids found it and said, hey, check this out. We got it right here in our school library. That was, I think, innocent compared to some of what we're talking about here. I'm looking at a passage here from this book, and I can't read this on the radio. The radio station license would be taken away. Speaking euphemistically, there's one passage of these two guys, young guys, who get together, and the phrase says, he reached his hand down and pulled out he quickly went to giving me, and I can't finish these sentences. So
correct.
We're talking here with Michael Tiedeman, chairman of the Sarpy County Republican Party. Have you specifically addressed this personally, or members of your organization, with the aforementioned 4 Republicans on the Papillion School Board that did not do anything with removing this and other objectionable material from Papillion school libraries?
Yes, we have had a number of our members of our central committee that have spoken at school board meetings expressing concern. I personally have reached out to one of the individuals and let him know, hey, we have a serious platform issue here. We don't want to be perpetuating this type of material to our kids, and I don't see where the educational value in having that material in the schools at all even exists.
I haven't seen where any of these school board members, again, Valerie Fisher, Brian Lotus, Marcus Madler, and Lowell Skip Bailey, I don't see where they've responded to any of this, talked about it on social media. Any of them are welcome to join me here on the radio to discuss further, but what did they say to you or members of the Sarpy County GOP when questioned about this?
So basically, it just seems like they keep on using their existing policy as a scapegoat. In my email to one of the individuals, they responded with, we have a set policy and we're following our policy. I'm sorry, but that's just not a good enough answer when I'm fielding phone calls and emails from parents that are frustrated because they just don't feel like their voice is being heard.
So you've censured these Republican members of the Papillion School Board. What does that do, if anything?
So you have a valid question there. A censure doesn't have a lot of teeth. It's more of a, here's where the party stands, here's where we believe. And ultimately, I think it can be used if somebody was to run against individuals in office. It can be definitely used to further their campaign. But really, it's more of a public statement to the parents that are frustrated, that don't feel that they have a voice, for the county party to say, we hear you, we stand with you, and we're willing to help in any way, shape, or form we can.
All right. I presume that you've got other people willing to step up and run against them the next time they're up for election. I'm not sure when that is, when this comes to these particular school board members, but you guys are on record now as disavowing the Republicans on a school board, which I don't know if you've looked throughout the rest of the metro, Mike, but they're hard to find, conservatives or Republicans on local public school boards. So we'll have to see what happens here in the future. Interesting situation, and at the very least, you've illuminated for parents, what might be in these school libraries, so they can make their voices heard to the school board or to the school, or talk with their kids about it if they see fit. Michael Tiedeman, chairman of the Sarpy County Republican Party, thank you very much for the time this morning.
Thank you very much, Scott.
You bet.